Let's take a look at COETAIL by the numbers. Over the last 2 years, we've taken 5 courses. I've written 31 blog posts, which is translated into 58 pages single-spaced on Microsoft Word, which is 15,461 words. All of that has yielded 230 glorious hits on my COETAIL blog, which has created one transformed educator. Now let's look at COETAIL by the letters. See, was it a capital O or a capital? Nobody remembers. In the first course, we looked at building a PLC by creating our COETAIL blog, and we focused on the UBD format. In the second course, we fell in love with Creative Commons as we talked about issues of copyright and attribution. The third course had us focusing in on presentation Zen and net standards. In middle school, we really got going with our iPads. The following course had us really dissect different kind of teaching philosophies, and we looked at the isms, looked at the Horizon report, and created an entire curriculum that revolved around P21 framework. In the last course, we looked at the SAMR model. PLCs had turned to PLNs. I had all kinds of problems with MP4s, and we looked at the TPAC method. The unit that I decided to redesign for my final project was a Spanish Advanced unit. There are 2 sections of this class. 8th grade students. They have been using iPads in a one-on-one situation all year long, and this particular unit focused on physical geography and the environment. In order to fully differentiate this unit, I decided to look at the TPAC model. While I appreciate the efforts of the TPAC model, it can be hard to use, so I needed to dig in a little bit deeper, and I tried to unpack the TPAC into the content, technology, and pedagogy pieces. In order to do this fully and successfully, I began with a look at my standards. All of the units are planned in the UBD format, and as you can see, I had specific world language communications and connection standards already associated with this unit. I added standard 2A and B from the Educational Technology NETS standards to incorporate a piece of 21st century collaboration. In the world language classes, we really consider content to consist of 2 pieces: the grammar knowledge and content, and certain skills. In this unit, we expect kids to be able to make predictions about the future, and we also, by adding the NET standards, added a skill to have children seek expert opinions using the internet. The next piece of the TPAC that we have to unpack, of course, is the technology. There are really 3 major pieces in this unit. The first piece would be students interacting with my blog in order to get information that they need, the Google Suite, such as Google Docs and Google Drive, and of course, we're in a one-to-one iPad situation, so students need to be aware of how to use iPads as well. The last piece is a little more difficult. Here we're unpacking the pedagogy. Teacher training has shifted from direct instruction to more individualized instruction, which I'll talk about more later. We also are trying to incorporate more and more 21st century skills, in this case collaboration and higher level thinking skills. I said before that the TPAC is a little hard to use, and in my research I found the SAMR model from Ruben Puentedura to be extremely helpful. Most of the technology used in my classroom lies in the augmentation modification area, so I really wanted to strive to push for true redefinition in this unit. I had also found this particular chart on the Teach Bytes blog to be very helpful. In this blog, the author is looking at the difference between using technology in the classroom and truly integrating it. While I felt like I did fall in the right-hand column for a lot of things, there were some areas where I really needed to try to push myself a little bit more. So what was I going to do? I decided to look at 3 different things. First, I was going to try to flip my grammar instruction because I've always been interested in it and I wanted to see how it was going to work. The other world language teachers that I've found on the COETAIL blog have done this also. Here's an example video that I made. So let's go back and take another look at the formation of the subjunctive mood. What are those opposite endings? Let's go back and look at those AR endings. Thinking back to the opposite endings that we used for the commands, we know that ES is the ending for the -2 commands. One of the key areas where I wanted to focus after flipping my instruction was assessment. Puentedura has mentioned on his blog that one of the indicators of true transformation is dramatic improvement in student outcomes. And in order to do that, I feel like we have to really truly look at assessment. The way that I had been using formative assessment previously looked something like this. I would often give students a pre-test in a Google form. They would complete it, and then I would copy the information back with the correct answers on a sheet that we shared. While I feel like this was a good start, it wasn't really doing that much. Through Puente Dura, I discovered the work of Eric Mazur, who has promoted this concept test model. I really fell in love with this model because I feel like it defined how to use formative assessment effectively in your classroom. As you can see, there are 3 different paths, and each path has a certain outcome depending on student performance. Here you can see my newly redesigned formative assessment for this particular unit. Again, I'm using Google Forms to send the pretests, and the responses come back to me, but I have them automatically collating, I have them automatically grading and set up so I can determine which way I need to go with my students. It provides for instant differentiation. The final piece of my project focused on that 21st century skill of collaboration. Collaboration with peers, collaboration with me, and collaboration with experts. Everybody is pushing for this. We see it in all of the work that's coming out right now, so I believe it's truly important, and I think it will be a good focus. How is that collaboration going to happen? Well, in the past, the final project for this unit was a writing project. It was a writing project where the students had to write a pretend article for the student newspaper to promote an environmental project. I decided to greatly redefine this project in my final project. Now, instead of writing a pretend article, we are setting up an environmental conference where the students are collaborating in groups of 2 to find, again, a solution for an environmental problem, but you can see that the task has been greatly redefined, and they also need to include the expert opinion of somebody that they find on the internet. How do I share this information with my colleagues? Well, of course, I'm using my COETAIL blog, and I have connected with a couple of other educators that are doing collaborative writing and flipping their instruction. This is just an example team agenda, and you can see that we often end up talking about technology. For example, here we did it as a check-in, we talked about the nets, and we talked about iPad apps. Did this project reach redefinition? I believe it did. Puente Dura states that redefinition happens when there is a significant increase in student achievement, when we help to accomplish new goals, and that we create new tasks that were previously inconceivable. The ability to collaborate online and seek the opinions of experts really pushes this project into the highest level thinking skills. It asks students to compare ideas and recommend a course of action to their peers. These are important skills for students in the 21st century. It's an engaging project, and I believe that it squarely rests in the middle of the TPACK framework.
So, did it work? Am I a master of technology integration? Well, that remains to be seen. This project moves into implementation in 2 days. At that time, I'll be able to blog more about my students' reactions and the evidence of their learning. Nonetheless, I'm still really excited about this project. I think it meets the goals of redefinition. I've been hard on myself in the past, but doing this has helped me see that I really am using redefinition in my class. The skills that the kids are learning are ones that they'll use in the future, and are doing things in the class that has not been possible before. I've already seen evidences of achievement because of the things that I've been implementing over the course of the last 2 years as a result of taking the COETAIL classes, so I expect to see similar improvements. Over and over again, I've said things like, the nets aren't technology standards, they're human standards, and things like, technology is not about the tools or the apps or the programs that you use, it's about how you use them. Because of things like that, COETAIL has really helped me to redefine what I feel about technology and how it's used in class. If you're interested in seeing more of my journey and how I integrate technology in the future, please visit my COETAIL blog. Thank you.